G'day, I'm Charlie Pryde.
And I'm Jennifer Pryde. Welcome to our YouTube channel, Pride of the Villages.
This video will highlight our recent trip to Europe and the 9-night Danube Explorer and highlights the Budapest River Cruise on the ship Emerald Luna. An Australian company, Emerald Waterways caters mostly to English-speaking market with a mix of Americans, British, Canadian, and Australians as onboard passengers. Our journey began in Orlando with a United flight to Newark, and then an Austrian Airlines flight to Vienna with a follow-on to Budapest. We were met by an Emerald staff member at the Budapest airport, and he arranged transportation to the ship, which was docked on the Buda side of the Danube River. Budapest, being the capital city of Hungary, is separated into two parts by the Danube River. On the west bank is Buda, known for its castle, the Matthias Church, and the Fisherman's Bastion. On the east bank of the river is Pest, known for the iconic Parliament building, Jewish quarter, and Central Market. Arriving at the dock, we board the Emerald Luna. The Luna, like other Danube River boats, is 4 decks, with the restaurant on the second, the lounge on the third, and the sun deck up top. However, one addition to the Emerald boats is there is a pool on the third deck and a retractable roof on the sun deck. After check-in and a quick lunch, we head out in the town for some steps. What's nice about the Budapest Bridge is that you can cross safely by foot or bike. Going from the Buda bank to the Pest bank and walking north, we reach the Central Market Hall. The Central Market Hall is the largest and oldest indoor market in Budapest. The market is open Monday through Saturday. Most of the stalls on the ground floor offer produce, meats, pastries, candies, spices, and spirits. Many of them have items that are popular with the tourists, like paprika spices. The second mezzanine floor has souvenirs and eateries, offering some unique Hungarian dishes. Now, Budapest is a very walkable city, and it has great public transportation to include trams and buses, but we found the metro subway system most convenient to get around the city on our free time. The system is modern, safe, and the trains ran on time. There was a station only a short walk from the cruise dock. The maps and station names are well displayed to include in the train cars themselves. There are escalators and elevators to get you down and up from the platforms. Being that we were to be in Budapest 3 full days, we got the 72-hour pass, and it came in handy. A must-do when visiting Budapest is to take a night cruise on the Danube River. Many visitors staying in hotels will join one of the local vendors for a cruise. But for the Luna, it was just a matter of the captain leaving the dock for a sail up and down the river the night of our arrival. This was a great activity considering everybody was expended from the international travel. If you are an early morning riser, at 6:30 you can grab a pastry on the lounge terrace, and the lounge coffee and tea self-service is available 24 hours a day. Breakfast starts around 7:30 and is in the restaurant. The restaurant has open seating for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Breakfast is buffet style with an omelet station, hot items, pastries, meat cold cuts, cheeses, bread, juices, yogurt, cereal, and fruit. Today's included port tour is a bus walking city tour to some of the most visited sites. An alternative included tour is the Emerald Active hike up to Gellert Hill. As we had visited many of the city sites on a previous cruise, we chose the hike. The base of the hill was only a short walk from the boat. Our activities manager, Ella, then leads us across the Elizabeth Bridge to Vaci Street. This is the main pedestrian-zoned shopping area for Budapest and is lined with many restaurants and cafes. Rubik's Cube was invented in Hungary, so you will see stores featuring the puzzle. Local street foods that are very popular are chimney cakes, covered in a variety of sweetness, and langos, a deep-fried flatbread typically served with savory toppings like sour cream, garlic, and grated cheese on top. Reaching the south end of Vaci Street, we are at the entrance to the Central Market Hall. Having visited the market the previous day, we ventured our own across the Danube on the Liberty Bridge back to the ship. There we opted for a light lunch on the lounge terrace, which typically will serve salads, sandwiches, and one hot entree. There are also desserts available, of course. Emerald Luna has onboard bicycles for passenger use, and there are great opportunities for bike rides on this cruise itinerary. After lunch, we request 2 bikes for a self-guided ride to Margaret Island. The island between the banks of the Danube represents a green oasis for locals and tourists to enjoy. There is a very safe bike path along the riverbank all the way to the Margaret Bridge and on to the island. One way is 7.5 kilometers, and any steep inclines encountered are easily handled with the electric power assist on the bikes. The island has restricted vehicle traffic, so the roads and paths are open to bikes and walkers. There are several interesting sites on the island, to include a variety of flower gardens, a musical fountain, the ruins of a medieval Franciscan church, an aviary, a Japanese garden, and a row of shack-type bars, which I'm sure comes alive at night. In all, it was a great 15-kilometer round-trip bike ride with interesting sights on the island and along the riverbank itself. Early evening in the lounge, the cruise director Michael gave his port talk, followed by a champagne toast, welcome reception by the captain, and then the welcome dinner. The welcome and farewell dinners for the cruise are 5-course meals. The rest of the day's onboard dinners are 3-course meals. The right side of the menu will be the chef's recommendations, which can feature local cuisine. On the left side of the menu are the other options, including a vegetarian option. Also on the left side you will find the Emerald Classics, which are steak, salmon, and chicken entrees. Jennifer and I mostly ordered the chef's recommendations, and we found the food overall tasty and presented well. Lunch and dinner does come with the included house white and red wines, beer, and soft drinks. After dinner in the lounge, we were entertained by local musicians, dancers, and singers who performed a folklore show. The next day, the schedule in the port is free time, although there was an optional Emerald tour available at a cost. We decided, however, to do some adventures on our own. Budapest is renowned for its thermal waters and its baths. The history of thermal bathing starts with the Roman settlers who built the first spa baths. Then through the 16th century, Turkish occupiers built many of the famous Turkish baths. Today, the Széchenyi Thermal Bath is the largest medicinal bath in Europe and a must-visit for us. Getting there was relatively easy using the metro system. The M1 line is the city's oldest, built between 1894 and 1896 for the Hungarian Millennium celebration, making it the first metro line on the European continent and the second oldest in the world after London's. The line was reconstructed in 1996 and remains a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Reaching our last metro stop, it was a short 5-minute walk to the very impressive Neo-Baroque spa complex. Purchasing tickets online, we were at the entryway for its 8 a.m. opening. In the lobby, they had a listing of all the additional spa offerings, to including a beer spa. We may have to try that the next time. Our intent today was to experience several of the 18 pools on the premises, 15 indoor and 3 outdoor. The indoor pools are of varying temperatures between 18 and 38 degrees centigrade or 64 and 100 degrees Fahrenheit. As you can see by this sign, there are several restrictions to include no eating of hamburgers in the pool. There are also several saunas for use. I found this salt sauna very hard on the throat. Outdoors, there are 3 large pools. The outdoor pool temperatures are from 27 to 38 degrees centigrade or 81 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. The pool's mineral-rich waters is supplied by 2 thermal springs, both coming out at about 170 degrees Fahrenheit. Obviously, the waters are cooled before entering the pools. You must wear footwear when on the grounds of the spa, and if planning to do laps in the swim lane pool, you must wear a swim cap. Our advice, if going to the thermal spa, get there early for fewer crowds, spend a few extra euros for a private lockable changing room, and don't forget to bring your own towel and flip-flops. Using the metro system to move quickly back and forth from the ship, we used the afternoon free time to explore the Jewish quarter. One of the tragic stories of Budapest was the Nazi occupation during World War II and the fate of the Jewish population. From the occupation to liberation, the Jewish population of Budapest was reduced from 200,000 to 70,000, with most sealed off in a ghetto. One of the more uplifting notes about the Jewish quarter Today it is home to the ruin bars. Ruin bars are bars that were former abandoned buildings and now are an important part of Budapest's nightlife. They provide a relaxed and unique environment for enjoying drinks, food, and dancing. The bars often embrace the natural decay of their buildings, incorporating quirky furnishings and decor. They have become a significant tourist attraction to Budapest and can get very crowded during the evening. Being that it was October, we thought about Halloween and how we could get into the spirit of the season. So we chose to experience Nightmare in Budapest, located in the Jewish Quarter. This 30-minute unique horror show has special creatures that will guide you through thrills and chills. Your journey will lead to different rooms with different themes, and you may encounter several obstacles and tasks. Whether you survive is up to you. Obviously, we survived, as being in our 60s, no creature wanted to eat us. Some notes on this experience: creatures spoke very good English, reservations are required, and no video is permitted once the tour starts. And it was a good bit of fun. Back on the boat, it was time for dinner, and this evening all the ship's passengers would travel by bus to Vadaspark, where we would be treated to a Hungarian meal and a folklore show. Arriving at the restaurant, we were given the national drink and a biscuit as a welcome. The restaurant was a huge open venue and uniquely decorated, seating hundreds of tourists, mostly from tour groups. Dinner started with goulash, and then family platters of meats and starches were served. Entertainment was performed throughout the dinner. The next morning was free time before the ship sailed in the afternoon. There was a Discover More tour to the Jewish Quarter, but we had already checked that box. So while Jennifer took a line dancing session in the lounge with the activity manager, I took in the finish of the Budapest Marathon. A variety of races occurred over the weekend, and this morning was the finish of the big one, a whole 42 kilometers. After lunch, the Emerald Luna set sail up the Danube to our next port call. With a busy first couple of days, this was our first opportunity to enjoy afternoon tea on the terrace. Sailing through the evening, we arrive early in Slovakia's capital city of Bratislava. The city is situated on the border of three countries, Slovakia, Austria, and Hungary, and is the only national capital to have land borders with two other sovereign states. One of the most prominent structures in the city is Bratislava Castle, situated on a plateau 279 feet above the Danube. The Castle Hill site has been inhabited since the transitional period between the Stone and Bronze Ages. Our ship docks in a great location on the bank of the Old Town, which makes walking tours the included shore excursions. For Emerald Active, there is an option to hike up to the castle before exploring the Old Town, and that was our choice. During our free time after the guided tour, we did some souvenir shopping. Seeking out something local and unique, we found this honey shop. Not only did it have a large selection of items made from honey, like mead, cookies, throat lozenges, and cosmetics, but also an endless amount of different styles of candles made from beeswax. Another unique store was the oldest store in Bratislava. Part museum, part store, we purchased some of the specialty chocolate bars. They also had the Slovakian crescent-shaped walnut-filled pastry, Bratoslavsky rozok. Back on the ship, and after dinner, we were entertained by 5 very talented local female performers, Orchestra Aphrodite. That evening, we leave the capital of Slovakia and set sail for Vienna, the capital of Austria. Vienna, a city of 2 million people. Its artistic intellectual legacy was shaped by residents including Mozart, Beethoven, Strauss, and Sigmund Freud. The city is also famously known for its imperial palaces, museums, churches, universities, and cuisine. The included tour this morning is a combination bus and walking tour. The ship also offered shuttle bus service from the ship's dock into the city center, with a schedule running every 30 minutes. During the bus tour, we travel along the Ring Boulevard and get a layout of the city center.
1st of January, the New Year's concert is being performed here and transmitted all over the world.
We are then on foot with our local guide, who points out historic landmarks and also some pop culture. Mick Jagger visited this verse stand during his last Rolling Stones concert in Vienna. The impressive Joseph Platz, or Square, is home to the Austrian National Library. We then stop at the Spanish Riding School, dedicated to the preservation of classical dressage and the training of Lipizzaner horses.
Stop. Oh, no. Oh, bravo. Oh. Lovely. Oh, look at the...
Then on to Graben, which is a pedestrian-only shopping street known for its high-end stores, elegant architecture, and vibrant atmosphere. At the end of Graben is St. Stephen's Platz. St. Stephen's Cathedral is a Roman Catholic church and the mother church of the Archdiocese of Vienna. Being the most important religious building in Vienna, St. Stephen's Cathedral has borne witness to many important events in Habsburg and Austrian history. We were then on our own for the rest of the day, and we chose to stay in the city and visit the Hofburg Palace. The Hofburg Palace was the official residence of the Habsburg Empire for 600 years, and people still arrive today in horse-drawn carriages, just like the nobility did hundreds of years ago. Today, the palace houses several museums, including the Sisi Museum, the museum dedicated to Empress Elizabeth, who went by the nickname Sisi. Paying for our own entry fees, we were given a specific time slot for entry. We then had a chance to spend a few minutes in the palace courtyard before it was time to go into the museum. So was the tragic story of Empress Sisi. Leaving the Hofburg Palace, we stopped down the street at the Demo Cafe. This cafe always have a waiting line, but fortunately they have a takeout window for their famous Kaiserschmarrn. Kaiserschmarrn translates to Emperor's Mess and refers to the fluffy, shredded Austrian pancake dish topped with powdered sugar and plum sauce. Get a large portion and ask for 2 forks. You will not regret it. Our last stop before catching the shuttle to the ship was the Manor flagship store. Manor has been making Viennese wafer specialties with tradition since 1890. In the evening, we opted for the Discover More classical concert tour. The concert was in the Lobkowitz Palace, which we passed by on the walking tour earlier in the day. In the early 19th century, Beethoven was often a guest in the palace, and in 1804, he first conducted his Third Symphony in the same room we are now experiencing this concert. Leaving Vienna late evening, we are on our way to Melk, Austria, with an interim stop in Weissenkirchen. The next morning in Weissenkirchen, you had 3 options for included activities. One was a free time to walk the town, another was a guided hike up the vineyards, and a third was a 24-kilometer bike ride through the Wachau Valley, meeting the ship in Melk. Those walking the town and vineyard hike would reboard the ship for sailing to Melk. We opted for the bike ride, which was an independent company guided, and they provided really nice power assist bikes. The route took us through vineyards and small towns, with several rest stops along the way. Once everyone was outfitted, we were on our way to Melk. Our afternoon in Melk is an included excursion to the Melk Abbey. A World Heritage Site, Melk Abbey is a 500-year-old Benedictine abbey sitting above the town on a rocky outcrop overlooking the Danube River. Emerald-provided buses took us to the base of the abbey. There we walked the grounds to the entrance, where we were given a ticket. Photographs and video are not permitted inside the abbey itself. Respecting the rules, I have no video to show of the abbey interior beyond this point. A local guide took us through the Abbey Museum, the Marble Hall, the library, and church. The courtyards are very impressive, and photography is allowed in these locations. Finishing the tour, we had two options on returning to the boat: ride the bus back down or walk down through the town of Melk to the ship docks. We chose the latter and did make it back to the ship in about 20 minutes' time. That evening, we were on our way to Linz, Austria. The included tour for this port is a day trip to Chesky Krumloff in the Czech Republic. Chesky Krumloff is a 13th century town that is home to just 13,000 people, but attracts 1 million visitors each year. The castle, built directly into the mountainside, overlooks this storybook town and its cobblestone streets, giving the sense so that the community is frozen in time or plucked straight from a fairy tale. The Vlatava River cuts through Cesky Krumlov, making it easy to understand why the area has been inhabited since the Stone Age. Upon docking in Linz, we board buses for a 90-minute ride to Cesky Krumlov with a bathroom break on the way. Arriving in the Czech Republic, our local guide starts the tour at the town's castle, which provides some great views. Late morning, the guided tour ends and we have several hours of free time. The town is easy to navigate as the street names are well marked. Approaching lunchtime, we decided on something a little different from the European meat and potato dishes, choosing instead a recommended Asian restaurant, My Saigon. A couple bowls of pho was just what we needed on a cool day. Exploring the town, we came across this museum and store, which had some great antique displays. This area is known for the production of string puppets, but for souvenirs we decided to pick up some of the popular spa wafers. We are not bakers, but thought this was an easy way of putting designs into baking goods. The number of rolling pins were endless, and the gingerbread cookies were on display to show the finished product. Mid-afternoon, it was time to head back to Linz. Now, Linz itself has a huge square with restaurants and stores. The Emerald Luna was docked only a 5-minute walk from the square. So we did have some time to explore the town before our scheduled port talk on board. This was not the last night of the itinerary, but the cruise director did address the debarkation procedures, since on the last night, normally the passengers are packing and resting for international travel home. Everyone was given their luggage out in departure times. Likewise, the 5-course farewell dinner occurred on this night. During dinner, there was recognition of the crew for the great service they provided, and the dishes were top-notch. Compliments to the dining team. Sailing to our next port of Passau. Early morning, we passed through the lock. The 362-mile stretch of the Danube River between Budapest and Passau has 12 locks. However, this is the first one we encountered during daylight hours. If you have never seen lock operations, it is rather impressive, especially when two ships fit side by side in a tight space. Leaving the lock behind, we soon arrive in Passau, Germany, the 5th country on the itinerary. The Emerald Luna docks on the bank of the old town. Passau is known as the City of Three Rivers, where the Danube is joined by the Inn River from the south and the Ilz River from the north. The included port excursion this morning was a visit to a local farm and then a walking tour through the old town. Motoring by bus, we leave the city center, and 15 minutes later we are in the countryside. This is a family-owned dairy farm with about 50 cows on site. Our guide introduces us to the owner, and then it is off to view the farm operations. Neither Jennifer nor I come from a farming background, so this was all new to us. I found most interesting was the automation involved in everything from feeding to milking the cows. Since most of the products produced from this farm are milk, butter, and cheese, we had the opportunity to sample some of them. Jennifer also was able to make some farm friends while she was there. Passau is a tourist destination where visitors are attracted to the Three Rivers, St. Stephen's Cathedral, and the Old City. Passau's population of about 50,000, of whom about 12,000 are students at the University of Passau, renowned in Germany for its institutes of economics, law, theology, computer science, and cultural studies. Passau is notable for its Gothic and Baroque architecture. Because of its location on the Three Rivers, the town is prone to flooding. Peak elevations of floods as early as 1501 are displayed on the wall at the old city hall. Strolling through the town, we come to Cathedral Square. St. Stephen's Cathedral is a true masterpiece of Italian Baroque. With 17,774 pipes and 233 registers, the organ at St. Stephen's is the second largest in the world. In the afternoon, there was an emerald active option to hike up to the Veste Oberhaus. This is a fortress that was founded in 1219, and for the most time, it was a stronghold of Bishop of Passau. Positioned 344 feet above the valley floor, I will say this was the most strenuous of the hikes we did on the cruise. Back on the boat, it was time to pack our bags as the trip was coming to an end. After dinner, it was an early evening for the next morning's travel schedule. Most of the passengers were going to Munich Airport and provided buses were the primary transportation. The trip from Passau to the airport was about a 90-minute ride. We were fortunate to have a direct flight on Lufthansa from Munich to Orlando, and we arrived early evening the same day back in Florida. As our trip comes to an end, we want to pass on a few travel tips. Currency for Slovakia, Austria, and Germany is the euro. The currency for Hungary is the forint, and for the Czech Republic, the koruna. We carried euros, and they were accepted throughout the trip. Also, credit cards were widely accepted. We recommend carrying some €1 coins, as charging €1 to use public restrooms is commonplace in the towns we visited. The ship provides free Wi-Fi, but it was spotty throughout the journey. Cell phone reception was really good in all the countries we visited. Google Maps app worked really well in navigating around the towns during free time. We recommend having your ship's phone number and cruise director's number in case of emergency. On the conduct of your shore excursions, the tour guides will utilize a remote audio system called the Vox, which is comprised of a neck lanyard receiver and an earpiece. Ensure you have this in your room charging when not in use. Emerald does not utilize bottled water. They provide nice reusable water bottles that you can take home. Fresh filtered water is replenished in your stateroom daily. If you need an umbrella or walking sticks, they are in your cabin. On your walking tours or hikes, ensure to wear sturdy, comfortable shoes with some grip, as many of the old town streets are cobblestone and they can get slippery when wet. Lastly, the 5 favorite things that we did on the trip that are included in the base fare. The night cruise on the Danube in Budapest. Best views are from the top deck. Make sure you have the cameras at the ready. Bratislava Slovakia's old town. Does not matter if you do the Emerald Active Castle hike or the walking tour. Make sure to spend time exploring the old town on your own. Vienna, Austria. So much to see and so little time for one day in port. After the guided tour, explore on your own and take the shuttle back to the ship late afternoon. Bike ride through the Wachau Valley. If physically able to do this, sign up when it becomes available, as they cap the number of participants. And lastly, Chesky Krumloff, Czech Republic. This is a 3/4 day excursion that other cruise lines charge as an optional tour. Take advantage of visiting this World Heritage Site at no extra cost. This concludes our video, and if you have any questions, address them in the comments, and we'll be sure to answer them. Otherwise, have a great day, and we'll see you on the next adventure video.